On today's Patriot Nation podcast, we'll spend a little time recapping what was a very disappointing loss to the Buffalo Bills. Patriots firmly in the number 2 spot in the AFC East. And then, of course, they have the Jacksonville Jaguars coming up this weekend, which absolutely nobody cares about. But we will talk about that a little bit, and it's going to be a heck of a show. So buckle up and cue the music. All right, gentlemen. As I told you guys, and I tweeted out, but this is going to be my Jordan flu game, my COVID game here. I tested positive for COVID this morning, Thursday morning. Not great. Not a great way to end the year. But what are you gonna do?
It's tough.
Yeah.
You don't love to see it. Yeah.
No, you do not. No, you do not. So, but I'm currently in quarantine in my bedroom, which is why I got a new spot here that I'm recording from. So, but I want to get into Sunday just a little bit. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it. But nobody really cares about the Jags. So I guess maybe that's what we'll spend most of the time on. But just incredibly frustrating game. I mean, just like they took forever to get going again. They started slow again. And then it's just missed opportunities, right? And Mac obviously played pretty poorly in the first half, but fought back, I thought, decently well in the second half. Just too little too late again for the second week in a row. And the defense, seven possessions by the Bills, all 7 ending in the red zone. Not great. Not really what you're looking for,
Yeah, I guess the only thing you can kind of, hope that this brings is some sort of sense of urgency, which I think they lacked a little bit the last 2 weeks, especially on the Colts game 2 weeks ago. I wouldn't say they had a lack of urgency. I think everybody knew the magnitude of that game last Sunday, but yeah, I just think this is a get right game. It's something they can do to kind of, the Jags are bad, very bad, and they don't have a team right now.
Worst,
so
actually,
yeah,
let's get Mac out by the third quarter and start looking ahead to Miami. But I think the biggest thing too is win this week and get some help. Hopefully, you can get a playoff spot wrapped up this week. I think that would be a hell of an accomplishment. And I think too, kind of just to touch on. And I wanted to say it this week, but I didn't feel it was necessary on Twitter. I feel like this team's overachieved big time. I think people are starting to look past that a little bit. This was a team that, we had predicted 9-10 wins, right? I mean, they're going to finish.
All three of us
there
predicted
anyways.
11-6.
We did, yep.
So it's possible. Okay, you wrote them down, but I think you're obviously a little happy. I think even 9 wins, I still think would have been at the beginning of the year a pretty good achievement considering where you were last year. You had no plan at quarterback, holes all over the roster. You need an incision of youth all over the place. You need better skill players, right? I still think I've been saying for a while, they're a year or 2 away, maybe 3 from being true contenders like the Chiefs who are going to dominate the top of the league and be there in the end. But I mean, like I said, you don't want to just give them a cop-out card because of, their expectations changed, right? They had a great opportunity for themselves and pissed it away the last 2 weeks, which is unfortunate. But I think when it's all said and done and the season's wrapped up, you can really look back and be like, wow, this team has really turned itself around. They turned the franchise around from being, I know they won 7 games. Anybody in the league would probably consider that a decent year. That's a terrible year here, considering where they were last year. You have to like where they are. They control their own destiny. They still have an opportunity to get in the playoffs and make a run. And I think that first round playoff matchup, as long as you avoid Buffalo, I think it's a very winnable matchup, whether you get Tennessee or Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we talk a lot about don't move the goalpost. Whatever you expected, that's what you should expect throughout the season. I don't really agree with that in terms of they won 7 straight games and they looked like the best team in football for half that stretch. So I think it's okay to move the goalpost a little bit from, let's say, we said 11 wins. That's what we wrote down and we put out there earlier this year. But like Spags was saying, 9, 10, 11 wins, that area. But when you win 7 straight and you're 9-4, 9-5, it's it's time to move the goalpost because you look at the schedule ahead of yourself. Everything behind you, it's already done. You look at the schedule ahead and you think, based off what they have ahead of them, they can win more than we thought earlier this year. So I was okay with moving goalposts, and then like Spag said, they kind of pissed it away with 2 games where they showed the entire NFL exactly what they are, which is if you get out to a lead over the Patriots, you can beat them, and you probably will beat them.
That and
start
but the other
faster
thing
than
too
them, and
is
you're going to win.
they also showed that they can win. Like they played horrible the last 2 weeks for
Right.
65, 70% of the game. And both weeks you were within a possession with under 5 minutes to go, an opportunity to get the ball back and potentially win. You know, what did they need first? Before Taylor's touchdown, they needed a field goal inside with Volk.
Right.
I think that's a makeable. And then you get that pick from JC Jackson. I think you go down and win that game. They were rolling offensively. So, yeah, you showed, right? If you get a lead on them and kind of ruffle their feathers a little bit early on and dictate the pace of the game, you're going to have success for them. But at the same time, they played their 2 worst games of the year, maybe minus the Saints game, but I don't think they were, a full-on team yet.
Right.
They played their 2 worst games of the year and were still, almost had an opportunity to pull 2 wins out, which I think is what good teams show.
No, I agree. And look, I mean, this is one of those things where, and I think Keegan, you're 100% right here. Like, it's okay to move the goalposts, right? It's okay to say, hey, look, we thought 11 wins would be good. I predicted them, by the way, 11-6 and missing the playoffs. I vastly overrated the AFC. I thought the AFC was going to be really good. There were going to be multiple teams finishing with 13 or 14 wins. I was very wrong about that. But I think, if you had said to anyone, hey, they have this stretch of 4 games against Tennessee, Buffalo, Indy, Buffalo, and they were going to go 2-2 during that stretch, and then at the end of that stretch finish tied record-wise with the Bills. I think everyone would have been like, what? Like, are you okay? Sure, we'll take that. Like, if you had told me at the beginning of the year, I would have been ecstatic about that, right? And so I think that, yes, we can look at it and say, hey, overall, this has been a good season, and it hasn't been a lost season. But it's one of those things where you kind of look at it and say, man, they really had an opportunity here. If you had beaten Indy or if you had beaten Buffalo, you don't even have to win both. You just had to win one of those games. If you had won one of those games, you'd be in the driver's seat, not just for the AFC East, but possibly even for the AFC in general. So that's where it can be frustrating, where we're like, come on, like, you had that opportunity, you looked really good. And then you wonder, like, was it all a mirage? Were they not as good as we thought they were? And that's where it's kind of like we bought in, and maybe we bought in too early.
Well, I think too, and obviously expectations are so high here because of the last 2 decades, but, and I don't want to sound, too positive, but I think if you get in the playoffs, you make a little bit of noise, maybe you win a game, you go on the road and win a game in wild card weekend, or you battle Tennessee or someone or Buffalo to like a final possession where you really play well. I think you can look at that as a successful season. I don't want to, there's still a lot of football left. Like they could easily miss the playoffs, and this is a completely different conversation. But I'm excited as much as I want to stay here and, as Max said yesterday, stay where your feet are and, looking forward to the next few weeks. I'm really excited for the future of this team. I think I'm being super positive today. I don't know why. But
I love it.
I think like they're a few pieces away. They have another really good draft, which they kind of, I think the last 2, they've really been successful with Duggar, Onwenu, Mac Jones, Barmore, like the list goes on. You're looking at a really good team for the next few years. So,
yeah, the top half of 19 sucked too, but the bottom half was great. So we could go from halfway through the 19 draft to now. It's like they're rolling on picks.
Right.
I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves with the draft stuff because that's, there's still some football left. But
yeah,
I'm excited for the Jacksonville game just because like they stink, right? Like they're terrible, Jacksonville. So I think this is a good opportunity for New England. You go into that game and whatever you're trying to figure out, whatever you don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like Jonnu Smith. There's been a lot of talk this week for some reason about Jonnu Smith and how people have acted like he's underperforming, but he's on pace with what he does. Like he's Jonnu Smith this year. It's just, I guess, watching every game of him and it just looks a little bit different. So seeing if Josh McDaniels can finally figure out, how to generate touches for him, which he said this week, like, I haven't figured out how to do that. I need to do a better job. Mac Jones, like, what can he do against a bad defense throwing the ball? Like, is it defenses are out scheming him and he's just not ready yet? Or is it an issue where maybe he just can't throw the ball 35 times a game and you can't win that way? So stuff like that. I think the individual matchups and little things like that, I'm super excited to see because this is the last chance we're going to get to see that with a rookie quarterback and a bunch of newcomers, because next year they're going to go into that season with a lot of the same players. So this is the last opportunity to see what they've got.
Right. And I agree with you on that. Like, my biggest takeaway from the last 2 games is that Mac has regressed quite a bit, I thought. And that's the scary thing, where you felt like he was playing like a veteran. Like, that was the biggest thing. Like, he's playing like a veteran. He's making smart reads. He's making good decisions. And he's not costing them games, right? Now, maybe he's not winning games necessarily, quote unquote, but like, he's making all the right plays and all the right throws. And now, you saw it the last 2 weeks. The Leonard interception, and then the interception he throws against Buffalo, obviously the end of them was just a Hail Mary. But,
right.
Those 2 interceptions in particular, right process, right read, everything's done right. He's just late. And you're like, well, that's a rookie thing. Like, that's not something he was doing at the beginning of the year, where like he makes the right read, he makes the right throw, but he's just late on it. You didn't see that. And now you're seeing that, and it's cost them 2 games where, like, I mean, obviously one of them they end up scoring a touchdown. Oh, actually, that's not true. Patriots stopped them 4th and goal. It was the only time they stopped them. Because Emmanuel Sanders dropped a touchdown pass in the end zone. But still, it's like those turn into big moments and big plays. Christian Barmore jumping off sides on 4th and 7. Like, now whether they were going to go for it or not, who knows? But like, you are the nose tackle. Like, you can't be doing that. And I know that by the way, if that was a punt, that would have been a penalty on the long snapper, but it wasn't, and so it wasn't a penalty on the center. You can't whip your head up like that. They get called. What's his face got called? Cardona got called for that a bunch of times, where you're trying to draw them offside, so you whip your head up like that. You can't do that. But I just think that, like, for me, it's challenging, and I wonder, like, you wonder if he's out there thinking, I have to be perfect. I have to make every play. I have to make the right read. I have to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. Otherwise, we're going to lose these games. And is that pressure getting to him, where it wasn't against some of the teams like Cleveland and Tennessee, and those teams where they didn't feel like they had to worry about their offense as much? I don't know. I don't know if that's the answer or not, but like, it just doesn't. It's really bizarre to kind of see that happen and not be able to do anything about it. It's very frustrating as a fan to watch it and be like, what the hell are you doing here, buddy? Like, you look so good, and now it's falling off the train's falling off the tracks.
I think it's a little bit of like, I don't want to say a rookie wall, but just the end of the year. He's played a lot of football in the last year. I think 2 teams are starting to figure them out a little bit. You went up against 2 really good defenses, 2 good coordinators, 2 good head coaches that know, your limitations and how to slow you down, right? I mean, you see the Bills so much. I know 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever, it was such a, an odd game, and They didn't really see much, but I just think it's a mix of everything. I mean, I don't think it's anything to a red flag for him going forward. But yeah, I think, this is time to put your big boy pants on. If we're, being honest for him, you get a good opportunity here ahead of you. Hopefully you can wrap up a playoff spot this week, and then, let the Ducks, what's the saying there? Whatever it is in the playoffs, let it roll.
Something's going to fall where it may, something like that. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I agree on. I struggle with saying that he's looked bad. Regressed, I think, is the perfect word for it, Pat. Like, he was playing about as perfect as you could ask for a rookie quarterback on this team, because that he was doing what he needed to do. And now I feel like it's not even pressing; it's just trying to see what he can get away with, like those late throws. Like, maybe I can get away with this. Right. He can't, and 2 straight weeks we've seen he can't, and I don't think he's at a level right now. The offense, I won't even just say him, because let's not forget that there's 10 other guys who haven't looked great the past 2 weeks on offense, early in the games. I think they're all kind of figuring out that they're not really built to do the whole come from behind thing. And it's not so much like you score 1 touchdown against New England and you're going to beat them. It's more they need to string things together a little bit, play the field position game. They've been stuck in their own field position for like six quarters straight, right. I feel like, except for the second half of last week. So I think altogether as an offense, they kind of need to dial it back a little bit and get back to what was working a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, defensively, they're not forcing any turnovers, right? And that helps your team a lot. If you can force turnovers, it really helps your team a lot. One thing that Oliver points out here, which I just want to, they miss Aguilar so much.
That too.
That's crazy. It's a crazy statement to make based on how bad he's played this year. But he's right.
Bad. I don't.
Well, not bad. But he hasn't been what we expected. What the price
wasn't what
tag.
He was last year.
Right.
I mean, maybe the
what he got
price
paid.
tag, but I think you see a receiver in here. They're not going to throw up gaudy numbers.
Right.
I just think his presence downfield helps, like he got into. But yeah, I think has he overachieved his contract? No, but I wouldn't say,
Right.
he's been a bust or a bad signing.
Well, I think the
I
thing
think
with him is that he can beat man coverage. Like they have nobody else that can actually beat man coverage. N'Keal Harry ain't beating man coverage unless you throw him a 50-50 ball, maybe. Jacoby Myers isn't beating man coverage. Brandon Bolden's not beating man coverage out of the backfield. Like these guys aren't beating man coverage, and that is an issue. And that's something that Aguilar can do, even if it's just with him going deep. Mac has shown the ability to make that deep throw from time to time. So you have to respect it, even if it doesn't happen very often. And Aguilar's a guy that can do that.
he's other than N'Keal Harry, who I don't think anybody knows what N'Keal Harry is. He's just a 50-50 guy.
Right.
Other than him, Aguilar's their only non-slot receiver. Like Jacoby Myers is a slot receiver. Gunnar Olszewski, if he ever ends up playing on the offensive side of the ball, slot receiver. Kendrick Bourne, that's a slot receiver. Like he plays he beats zone defense. That's what he does. So having a guy, I mean, we're talking in circles now, but having a guy who can take away not just a corner, but a safety on the side of the field and open up everything underneath for the running backs, for the tight ends. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think they've missed him a lot. And I don't know. I know for a fact NFL defenses aren't scared that N'Keal Harry is going to beat them deep. They're going to have the quarterback line up 12 yards off the line and just backpedal, and that's it. You've taken away N'Keal Harry. So, I think they miss him a lot. And it looks like, he didn't practice today again. He's probably not going to play on Sunday.
Well, that's if they play on Sunday. Doug Hyde tweeted something out right before we went live about the Jacksonville Jaguars currently have 27 players on the COVID list. They have 33 players on their 53-man active roster. 33. Now, it's Thursday, but it's coming pretty close to crunch time here. I don't know if this game's going to get rescheduled for Tuesday. I don't know if they're still going to play it on Sunday. I have no idea. But it's like, who knows when this game is going to get played? And I know it's the Jaguars. Nobody cares about the Jaguars. It means nothing to their season. They're the worst team in football. They probably would just be like, hey, listen, just don't even play the game and we'll give the Patriots the win. We don't even care. At this point, they don't really care. And so maybe they don't move it because they're like, screw it, it's just the Jags, but they kind of should. If the Jaguars have no one to, you need 22 players to play. You need 22 guys and then a kicker and a punter. So, and a long snapper. So you need 25 guys. They get 33. So who the heck knows who they even have? And Allie says too, healthy Bourne as well. And Bourne didn't practice all week, so that obviously hurt them as well too. So, but yes.
Yeah, so the NFL minimum is 40, I believe. Like you can actually play a game with 40. So you have to add all of your practice squad players, however many they have. Who knows how many practice squad players Jacksonville has? So all of them as COVID replacements. They're still not at 40, I don't think. Or they're just past 40.
Practice squad, I think, is 16 now, right? Isn't it?
It is, but who knows how many they have.
Although who knows how many they have.
Patriots have 12 on a 16-man practice squad. It's weird. So they're adding practice squad players. They have to travel on top of it. It's not like New England's going down to Jacksonville. Jacksonville's the one that has to travel. The Patriots were the guinea pig last year against Kansas City. They made them travel day of. And that obviously blew up in their face because they had guys on the plane with COVID. So, we'll see. I would be surprised if it gets played now after what we saw today with them adding even more players. I'd be surprised if it gets played on Sunday.
Yeah, it's a mess. Well, and Oliver pointed out too, that Miami game last week is going to be a huge game. And if they have to play Jacksonville on Tuesday, and they have a short week playing Miami. And again, now they have to travel to Miami. That's really tough. That's really, really tough for the Patriots. And it's a crap deal for them because this Jacksonville game is meaningless. Jacksonville's terrible and doesn't even want to win. To have it be pushed back, 3 days to then now have a short week against Miami would be a really tough outcome.
You have to pray you lock up a playoff spot if you do that, right? And they need a Miami loss and a win gets you in, I think. So, you got to root for the
also,
Titans
I think
and Colts.
Oakland or Vegas. If Vegas loses, you get in too.
Right.
And is Wentz playing? I guess that those new rules he technically
they don't know yet. Yeah. The earliest he could be activated is Saturday. So, we just saw Dietrich Wise was activated today. That was 5 days. He was in and out. So, he was the first one to be activated after 5.
you almost hope for a Miami loss and a Vegas win because then you jump the Colts, right? So you get that
Yep.
5 seed. I think Buffalo's the 4, but who knows how things kind of wrinkle out the next 2 weeks. But I think if you go in and you're playing Tennessee on the road, whether they get Henry or back, he's not going to be 100%. And since I'm a huge Joe Burrow fan, I love that offense. I think this team is super fun to watch. But I'm sorry, they don't scare me. So if you can get the 4 seed and avoid Buffalo and do it all this weekend, wrap up a playoff spot and kind of get an idea how things are going to shake out, that's a win.
Yeah. No, and that's really what you want, right? Wrap up a playoff win as soon as you can, so you don't have to worry about it. So that game in Miami doesn't mean much. And again, if Miami loses, now they have 8 losses and you win. Well, now the Miami game doesn't really matter anymore because Miami's like, well, we're out of it anyways because the Patriots are already where they are. So that's the part for me where I look at it and just say like, hey, I mean, things need to break the right way, obviously, but like if that happens, we'll be good to go.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Yeah, we'll see. Cincinnati doesn't scare me. I mean, Cincinnati, they're the flipping Bengals, for God's sakes. Come on. Like, they're the Bengals.
That'd be a fun game, though.
It would be a lot of fun. It would be a lot of fun because, because they're good. Like, their offense is fun to watch, man. Jamar Chase.
Chucks that bitch, and it's
awesome. He does.
National champ. Well, it'll be decided by then, but or maybe not, actually. It'd be the last 2 national champions facing off.
No, I think isn't the Natty Monday? Is this Monday?
Next Monday?
No,
it's this upcoming Monday.
It's at like the end of January. They get like 3 weeks. These are the
do they really?
Yeah, these are the semifinals games.
I think it's mid to late.
Maybe you're right.
Monday, but
maybe you're right.
We can look this up. We have computers, so
we could, but whatever. We don't care about that. All right, you want to do a quick 5-minute fantasy before we let everyone go?
I guess.
We probably should, just because it is championship weekend. So like, kind of have to do something for the people. You know what I mean?
I'd be in the finals right now if I didn't choke those 3 games. So
it's 2 weeks from Monday. It's January 10th. 2
weeks from Monday. So no, they will not be the last 2, but that's okay. 2 out of the last 3. So all right, we'll do a quick 5-minute fantasy, and then we'll go from there. All right, we'll start the timer now. Good luck to everyone out there. I mean, I'm in 1 championship game, which is good. 1 championship that doesn't count because it's a free league, but whatever. I don't care. Nevertheless, there's a lot of questions here. Anyone got any questions about start sit questions? But like, I don't even know how to say the guy's name, but the running back for Jacksonville is a guy that a lot of people were looking at. That's the guy. And I have a really hard time suggesting anyone put him in their starting lineup. I don't see why you would. So I don't know. We'll see. Trey Lance is another interesting name. Trey Lance, I drafted in a bunch of leagues because I was like, San Fran's schedule down the end of the season is a joke. And if he does end up replacing Jimmy G, whether Jimmy G gets hurt or benched or whatever, the Trey Lance could come in and dominate. Trey Lance is going to play this week. Jimmy G hasn't practiced all week. He's going to play this week. There's no shot that Jimmy G starts this week. And Trey Lance is going up against Houston's defense in a game that is completely 100% meaningless to Houston. It's going to be awesome. You got to play him.
Houston's been playing their ass off for like no reason the last 2 weeks. They've looked
That's
really
very true.
Good. So
they have.
I think that would be fun.
Davis Mills diamond it up.
Yeah, he's looked. I mean, second best rookie quarterback, Davis Mills. Who knew? Spags knew.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. So, Davis Mills Mafia, bro. And that's well, all right. I don't want to get into that whole question, but it is an interesting situation if because I wanted Parsons so bad, dude. If Parsons dropped to 15, I would have said.
I was talking about that with my buddies. I think he was their guy in round 2. If Mac went 3 and then maybe they go defense early and
right.
They did a lot of free work.
Didn't matter anyways, but that would have been really cool.
I'm happy with what we got.
What they would have done is they would have traded back and drafted Barmore because they ended up trading up for Barmore. That's what.
That's a good point. Yeah, trade back, get an extra few picks, and draft Barmore. That makes sense. So Keegan being smart over here. As far as one guy that's been on my list that we've been like he's been killing it is Cordell Patterson, but Patterson's 0.5 PPR the last 4 weeks was 11.1, 12.9, 3.3, and 7.8. That is disastrous. And they're playing in Buffalo, Atlanta, a dome team. is playing in Buffalo. Whew. I mean, I know if you're in the championship and you have Cordell Patterson, he's a big reason as to why you're there. But that's not good. That is really bad. So I don't know. If you got someone that you think can play, I might seriously. He's on one of my championship teams. I'm seriously considering benching him. So, Allie with a good question here about Lamar coming back. I don't know if you guys saw the clip of Lamar yesterday at practice, but my God, dude, he was hobbling all over the place. I can't bet on Lamar. I would say go Trey Lance. Obviously, don't drop Lamar, like just in case they give him a deer antler spray on his ankle or something like that. But my goodness,
it's a hell of a drug.
I guess, yeah. But and he couldn't even walk, right? I mean, he really couldn't even walk. Also, what the hell is going on with their practice fields? Why do they play on like a golden practice field? What the hell is that about? Was there any explanation as to why they do that?
The building looks like. Do you remember those restaurants that were like time machine restaurants, and all the waiters dressed up? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's what their practice facility looks like the indoor facility.
I just don't get it, dude. It looks like they play on clay. It's like freaking which tennis court is clay? Is that Wimbledon? No, it's not right. I don't know which one it is. Whatever. It's the you know what I'm talking about. You guys know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else. Saquon's another one. Freaking Saquon Barkley, dude. I don't know if you can start him. I really don't know. I don't know if you can do it. He just sucks so much. He just sucks so much, Saquon. He's been so bad recently. He's playing at Chicago, which they have a shot, but like, dude, since he came back from bye, he's played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. He's cracked 10 points twice in 6 games. Like, that's just not good. That's really, really bad. And he played against Philadelphia twice, the Chargers, Miami, Dallas, and Tampa is really good. But now he played against great defenses, and he's playing against Chicago as a decent defense this week. I don't know if I can start Saquon Barkley this week. I don't know. But again, it's like, how do you – I don't know. That's just my take on it. Damian Harris must start this week, 100%. Put him in your lineup. I've been saying it all year. I predicted at the beginning of the year 1,200 yards and 10 touchdowns. He's at almost a little bit under 900, like 870 and 12 touchdowns. So I will take my victory lap. Thank you very much as a running back 3.
He's only a couple 200-yard games away.
That's what I mean. Well, that's the timer. He's obviously not gonna hit 1,200, but he's got the what's it called? He's got the touchdowns to match, so we'll be all right. Anyways, that's it. That thus concludes the COVID episode. We'll be back. We'll see what happens. I mean, we'll see what happens, right? If the Patriots don't play on Tuesday, I don't know what the hell our schedule is going to look like next week, but hopefully they get the game in on Sunday. And Jacksonville can pull some people off the COVID list and make their way up to New England to play. I think they just said, my wife just texted me and said, Massachusetts reported 21,000 new cases yesterday. Not great. So, and I'm not even one of them because I tested at home and I didn't even go out and get an actual test. So yeah. So anyways, stay safe out there and go Pats. And we'll see. Hopefully when we talk to you next week, we'll have locked up a playoff spot. Take care, guys.